Hello and welcome back to our Lord of the Rings LCG solo progression series. And today's quest is the Nightmare version of Journey Along the Anduin, a very familiar quest if you've ever played Lord of the Rings LCG. A quick reminder, in this series we're playing through each quest in chronological order of the game's initial release, and we'll only be using player cards that were available at the time of this quest's release. I'm calling this deck Outlandish Behavior, and I'm a little ashamed to say this is an Outlands deck, truly. Obviously we used one against Encounter at Amandine, but that was just to show the power of it and to overkill a really simple quest. But Journey Along the Anduin is just a difficult Nightmare quest, much more difficult than Passage Through Mirkwood Nightmare. Even with this deck, you can lose if you have if you have trouble ramping up, I suppose, your deck, and if maybe you get a Gladden Marshlands during setup, something like that, you can lose. But I tried all kinds of archetypes. The player card pool is still opening up, and there were just a lot of holes in the different deck types that I couldn't compensate for until I just decided, okay, let's just do this type of deck. But the good news is I don't really like these Outlands decks like this. It's just not fun, and so I don't plan on really doing this much, but this is an emergency situation. So let's get to the quest and see how we do. All right, I think I like this opening hand because threat can be an issue. There are some enemies that can engage you early on, such as the troll. I forget what it's called in this deck. Anduin Troll, I think. Anduin Troll Spawn. And so, our threat's pretty close to that engagement of 26. I like that I already have Elrond's Councils. That just gives us a guaranteed low threat. I already have Strider's Path, which is good to have just in case during stage 1 we reveal a Gladden Marshlands. And I already have Steward of Gondor here, so let's just keep this deck. It's not perfect, but it's just, it's a nice defensive opening hand, I think. Okay, so for the setup, we have to remove the following cards from the original quest in the specified quantities, and then you would shuffle in the new Nightmare cards. Great art here, Journey Along the Anduin. We are playing Nightmare mode. All troll enemies gained the text cannot have attachments, so we can't use Forest Snare on Hill Troll, which everybody has done that. But no such thing on the Nightmare version. If the encounter deck is empty at any time, shuffle the encounter discard pile back into the encounter deck. And so that really is a very small change, but it can affect sometimes during combat. If you try to deal shadow cards and there's nothing in the encounter deck, you don't deal shadow cards because you don't reshuffle the encounter discard pile into a new encounter deck until the next quest phase. So that won't be able to be taken advantage of here. And I'm supposing, I've never really understood why that text is there. I don't really get it. Maybe multiplayer would be more obvious. But you can have a lot of enemies in play and all that, especially with brown water rats. I think that might be sort of taking them into account because there's just going to be a lot of attacks from enemies you can't destroy. Emerging from Mirkwood Forest with an urgent message for Lady Galadriel, you must now make your way south along the Anduin River in order to reach the Forest of Lorien. As you leave the forest behind, you notice that you are being pursued and thus quicken your pace. Each player reveals one card from the top of the encounter deck and adds it to the staging area. The one I don't want it to be is Gladden Marshlands. It's a flooded ford. And boy, does that not look like Atreyu from Neverending Story. What's the name of the horse? Artax, I think. Okay, so that's not the best, not the worst card either. So we'll be okay with that. As you approach the location of a small raft stashed on the riverbanks, a fearsome hill troll emerges from behind a grouping of rocks and attacks. When revealed, search the encounter deck for one hill troll. There's 2 in the deck, if one is not already in play, and place it in the staging area. So let's go find the hill troll and put it in the staging area. And where is it at? As you can see, there's a lot of enemies in this deck. Shuffle the deck. Okay, so we cannot defeat the stage while any hill troll card is in play. So we'll have to deal with him eventually. All right, Beravor will use her action, exhaust her to choose a player, draw 2 cards. And I'm not going to use Daron's Runes yet. I don't really want to ditch any of these cards particularly. I wouldn't mind having Light of Valinor, but we just don't. So let's quest with Glorfindel and with Hirluin the Fair. If an enemy comes out that we don't want to deal with, we can always play fresh tracks. I'm going to go ahead and lower my threat by just go ahead and do it. Let's play Elrond's Council. If you control a unique Noldor character, and I should have raised my threat. Did I do that? No. Whenever he exhausts a quest, you have to raise your threat by 1. So we're at 24. And then just during the action window after committing characters, I'm going to play this action. If you control a unique Noldor character, which we do, it's Glorfindel, give another character, which will be Hirluin, +1 willpower until the end of the phase and lower your threat by 3. So we're going to lower our threat by 6. And we're going to boost Hirluin by a total of 2 because I played 2 of these. All right, so we reveal Gladden Fields, and our threat goes up by 1. Okay, during the travel phase, I have 2 places I can go. I don't like a flooded fort I don't like it to be the active location until I'm really ready to explore it all at once. So let's travel to Gladden Fields. We will not optionally engage Hill Troll, Refresh, and Forced. While Gladden Fields is the active location, each player must raise his threat by an additional point during the refresh phase. So next round, there's Light of Valinor. Let's go ahead and play it. We'll attach that to Glorfindel. So now he can contribute his willpower without the threat increase. Bearvor draws us 2 cards. Let's go ahead and put out Hindamarth. Now, we don't want to use his action yet because he'd be exhausted, and then a Necromancer's Reach would destroy him. But let's go ahead and play Steward of Gondor and attach it to Hirluin the Fair. So we can use this action, Exhaust Steward of Gondor, to add 2 resources to the attached hero's resource pool. And I don't think I want to play Warrior of Losarnoch just yet. I think I'd rather keep Fresh Tracks as an available option. Let's go ahead, just in case we need a chump, let's put out a Knights of the Swan. I wouldn't want to chump with a Knights of the Swan, but I'm not going to quest with him. Each Outlands character you control gets +1 attack. And so that's going to affect Hirluin and itself, Knights of the Swan. Okay, Glorfindel is going to quest, as will Hirluin the Fair, but not Knights of the Swan and not Hindamarth Riversong. And we reveal Wolf Rider, which is going to surge into Massing at Night. When revealed, reveal X additional cards from the encounter deck. X is the number of players in the game. That's going to be 1. And it is Eastern Crows. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and play Fresh Tracks. Response: after an enemy is added to the staging area, deal 1 damage to that enemy. And so, we'll just damage Eastern Crows, and it does not surge because of this is a response. And so after it's added to the staging area, then we destroy it outright, and it does not surge. That does say force after Eastern Crow is defeated, shuffle it back into the encounter deck. But that way we're just not going to surge into something really awful. And so we actually need to discard that to have played it, and our threat goes up by 1. And so we will have to deal with this card, the Wolf Rider. And let's go ahead and use Hindamarth's action to see what's coming next. It's going to be the Necromancer's Reach next round. Okay, so Wolf Rider is going to attack for 2. And we'll just defend with Glorfindel. You don't really want to do undefended attacks. So Wolf Rider is going to attack for 2 against 1 defense. And there's no shadow effect. So 1 damage on Glorfindel, and then we'll attack back with Knights of the Swan. He's just attacking for 1. And, rather than using Hindamarth's action, let me go ahead and just reshuffle the deck. I haven't moved anything to the bottom, so it's just a reshuffle deck now. We'll attack back with Knights of the Swan and with Hindamarth Riversong and just destroy Wolf Rider and not have to deal with him next round. All right, refresh, and at the end of the round during it's the active location, each player must raise his threat by an additional point during the refresh phase. So we're already all the way back up to 24. Not so good. Okay, Bearvor draws us 2 cards. And now we do want to try to get out some allies here. Let's put out a Warrior of LOTR. And each Outlands character you control gets +1 defense. I don't really want to play... Well, I guess I could play Hunter of Lamadon and hang on to this resource in case I need Strider's Path. So let's play Hunter of Lamadon. It does not boost any Outlands characters. It's going to receive the boost. But there's a response. After you play Hunter of Lamadon from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is an Outlands card, add it to your hand. Otherwise, discard it. I'm not going to worry about that response because I don't want to lose sneak attacks. I also am not using a very good tail just because I don't want to discard Ranger Spikes, sneak attacks, things like that. Let's also play Daron's Runes, drawing 2 cards and discarding Steward of Gondor. And we'll go ahead and play an Ithir Swordsman. Well, an issue that I'm having here, actually, I just realized this. All of these allies have 1 health, and I shuffle the deck, but it could be that a Necromancer's Reach comes out. I don't yet have the hit point boost that I need from Amphalos Herdsman. So I don't really want to quest with allies, do I? Let's just quest with... We shouldn't have to worry about engaging Hill Troll. Let's reveal a Smoking Blood. When revealed, remove all damage from all enemies in play. Then each player raises his threat by the amount of damage just removed from his engaged enemies. If no damage is removed by this effect, Smoking Blood gains Surge. We don't have a Test of Will, so we'll just Surge into Wargs. All right, so our threat goes up by 2. And we still cannot deal with Gladden Fields. Okay, so nothing to do during travel. Wargs will engage us, but we will not have to engage Hill Troll yet. All right, he is attacking for 3. He's got this response, or this forced effect. If Wargs is dealt a shadow card with no effect, return Wargs to the staging area after it attacks. Let's go ahead and look at what's coming next with Hinemarth. Okay, so East Bite. All right, so we just need to chump with a Hunter of Lamadon here. So 3 attack against 2 defense. Raise your threat by X. X is the amount of damage dealt by this attack. 3 against 2 is just 1 damage. Our threat goes up by 1. He leaves play. And because there was a shadow effect, he did not go back to the staging area, so I'm happy about that. But we can attack for 3, 4, 5, 6, and destroy him. All right, refresh. All right, we need to get a sneak attack with this and an Amphalos Herdsman. We got one. Bearvor draws 2 cards. Let's go ahead and play Ithir Swordsman. He's going to boost all Outlands characters by 1 willpower. Using Hirluin's resource, he can pay for Outlands allies of any sphere. We're going to put out a much-needed Amphalos Herdsman. And so now he's going to boost each Outlands character by 1 hit point. I could put out Ranger Spikes, but I'm more scared of a... Well, I know it's coming. It's East Bite, so yeah, we don't need to put out Ranger Spikes anyway. I forgot about the fact that I have Hinemarth. So, no reason to put out Ranger Spikes yet. In fact, what we can do here is have spent the resource to pay for Amphalos Herdsman from Bearvor's resource pool, and that allows us to put out Forlong. And it says, while you control Outlands allies that belong to 4 different spheres, ready Forlong at the beginning of each phase. Did I raise my threat from Gladden Marshland or Gladden Fields? Let me look. No. So my threat's at 29. Okay, so he is boosted by all the Outlands cards. But he has this effect: while you control Outlands allies that belong to 4 different spheres, ready for long at the beginning of each phase. Really powerful card, to say the least. All right, let's go ahead and just quest heavily here. And we're going to be fine. We reveal the E-Spite. We made 8 progress. And so that goes to the victory display. And so no more of that threat raise. And that means we will just be under Hill Troll's engagement. We have to travel to E-Spite. There's 2 locations, but when faced with the option to travel, the players must travel to the E-Spite if there is no active location. But we're fine. I wouldn't really particularly want to travel to the Flooded Ford anyway quite yet. I just want to make sure I can deal with it. All right, Marsh Shatter's coming next round. That'll be a perfect target for this Ranger Spikes next round. And so now this round we will have to deal with the Hill Troll unless we lower our threat. But I think we're about ready to deal with him, I think. Let's go ahead and put out a Knights of the Swan, using here Lewin the Fair's resource to do so. So now all Outlands characters are boosted by +2 since there are 2 of them out. We will put out Ranger Spikes just to take Marsh Outer, its threat out of staging for a little while. Do I want to do that? Let's draw 2 cards with Barivore. Forgot about that. And we'll put out another Knights of the Swan. We've got all 3. So all Outlands allies are attacking for +3. It's kind of overpowered, to say the least. So we'll be able to attack back and destroy Hill Troll easily. I'm just thinking I would rather put bring Gandalf into play and let him defend against Hill Troll, because then I wouldn't have any threat increase. I wouldn't have to chump with anybody. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can put damage on Hill Troll, but rather than doing that, I'll just draw 3 cards. And I'm not really worried about this 3 threat. He's just going to stay up there in staging. We have to deal with him eventually anyway, so we're fine with this. Okay, so we will quest just so that we can explore the E-Spite, really. And I suppose we don't really have to explore the E-Spite here. We need to make sure to be able to attack back for 12, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so that's all we need. So here we go. And we'll leave Gandalf ready. And we reveal Marsh Adder, and we made 5 progress. We did not clear the E-Spite. Okay, during the encounter phase, we will have to deal with Hill Troll. He'll engage us and get a shadow card, and we're going to defend with Gandalf. That's always who you want to defend with against Hill Troll, until eventually maybe you have all your Outlands characters out. Oh yeah, and at the beginning of the combat phase, or any phase, Forlong should have readied. So he's attacking for 6 against Gandalf's 2, and there's no shadow effect. So 2 damage on Gandalf. He has this text: excess combat damage dealt by Hill Troll must be assigned as an increase to your threat, but there was no excess damage. So basically, if you chumped with a 1 hit point character, your threat would have to go up by 5. You remember that, I'm sure. Okay, so we will attack for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's enough to destroy Hill Troll and send him to the victory display. We've not made the necessary progress to advance. Players cannot defeat the stage while any Hill Troll cards are in play. Let's look at what's coming next round. It's Goblin Sniper. Refresh next round. Barivore draws us 2 cards. Yeah, I'm glad we drew the cards. It was better to get to the things that we need. Really wouldn't mind having a Daron's Runes. I just don't quite have one yet. Let's put out Ether Swordsman. And so now all my Outlands characters are boosted by an extra willpower. Gandalf left play at the end of the round. He was played from hand. And we'll have to deal with the Goblin Sniper, but that's not a big deal. Let's put out Warrior of Losarnok. So an additional defensive value on each Outlands character. So we'll obviously advance pretty easily here. You always want to use Forlong because he does ready at the beginning of each phase, so don't ever forget to use him. That should be enough. And we reveal Goblin Sniper. We made 10 progress, 1 and 4. Not 1 and 4, 1 and 1 and 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, plenty of progress actually. All right, so we have advanced here during quest resolution. Anduin Passage says, after defeating the troll, you are able to board the raft and embark upon a river voyage. As you depart, your enemies pursue, harassing the small vessel as you attempt to navigate the river. 16 progress needed as your enemies harass the raft. It is difficult to maintain balance and effectively fight them off. Great art, man. Reveal 1 additional card from the encounter deck each quest phase. And so we'll want to make pretty short work of this if we can. We don't want to have a lot of enemies in staging. Each player may still optionally engage 1 enemy each encounter phase, so they do not make engagement checks. Okay, during the travel phase, let's go ahead and travel to a flooded ford. During the encounter phase, it tells us that players cannot optionally engage Goblin Sniper if there are other enemies in the staging area. So at this point, I cannot optionally engage Goblin Sniper. I could optionally engage Marsh Adder, however. He would attack for 4, but I don't want to chump with anybody. I'm not quite ready. Forlong would be, he's readied. So actually he could take the hit. He's got a defense of 3 and a hit points of 4. So I think we'll do that. I think we'll defend with Forlong and then just attack back. So let's optionally engage Marsh Adder. And he's going to get his shadow card. Forced. Each time Marsh Adder attacks you, raise your threat by 1. Let's defend with Forlong. 4 against 3 defense. And no shadow effects. So 1 damage on Forlong, and we attack for, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7, and 10. And that's enough. That goes to the victory display. And we'll use hint of marks to see what's coming next. It's a brown river water rats. Okay, refresh. There was this force. If Goblin Sniper is in the staging area at the end of combat, each player deals 1 point of damage to a character he controls. Let's just put it on Barivore. All right, so next round. Barivore draws 2 cards. All right, we're getting the allies we need. So if I want to, I can put out a Ranger Spikes just to keep from having to defend against brown water rats. Let's do it, I guess. That way we'll never have to defend against it. Let's put out another Amphalos Herdsman. So another hit point on all Outlands characters. And, you know, we're going to have to reveal 2 cards, so yeah, I'd like to put out an Aether Swordsman. Let's do it. I'd rather hang on to a Test of Will than hang on to a resource for fresh tracks. Okay, so an extra willpower, so we'll be questing for quite a lot. Let's do that. I'll leave a Warrior of Lothar ready just in case I need to chump it. I probably would chump with Hinnemarth, but let's just leave him ready. 28 should be fine. 28 minus 6 would be 22. I'll just send an additional Knights of the Swan here. There is, the Gladden Marshlands. So that would mean that we'd make 21 progress. We'd be just short of Anduin Passage. So let's send a Knights of the Swan. Okay, we reveal Brown Water Rats. It's going to fall into the Ranger Spikes, and it's not going to contribute any threat. We will not have to make engagement checks against it. And we can't make engagement checks this round anyway, but that's we have to deal 2 cards, to reveal 2 additional or 1 additional card. So it's driven by shadow, really easy. When revealed, each enemy and each location currently in the staging area gets +1 until the end of the phase. If there are no cards in the staging area driven by shadow, gain surge. So that's going to be 1. And this is going to boost Brown Water Rats to 2, but it's going to go down to 0 because of Ranger Spike. So that's just 1 threat increase. 33 minus 6 is 27. So we obviously did what we needed to do. That leaves play, and we advance. Ambush on the shore. The ongoing harassment from your enemies has forced your raft to shore, and you must now confront their ambush head on. If you survive this attack, the path to the Golden Wood should be open for you. When revealed, reveal 2 encounter cards per player and add them to the staging area. This says each enemy in each location currently in the staging area gets +1 until the end of the phase, so it wouldn't affect anybody else. Okay, we reveal 2 cards. 1, okay, that's going to surge, and I don't have fresh tracks, so that's going to surge. So we have 2 more cards coming. Brown Water Rats and Gladden Marshlands, which if you ever have Gladden Marshlands during setup, that's going to ruin your day, but we do have a couple of, or 3 times, Strider's Path. So just push this into the active location if it ever comes out. Probably the worst card in the deck in terms of really ruining your day. But it came out at a pretty good time here because we don't really need to make progress. Skip the staging step of the quest phase for the remainder of the game. Once there are no enemies in play, the players have won the game. Okay, we'll travel here to Gladden Marshlands just to get the threat out of staging, but we don't really even have to explore it at this point. There won't be any more cards revealed. Okay, so we can make optional engagements during engagement. Let me see. I messed up there. First, we make an optional engagement. We can't optionally engage Goblin Sniper. We could optionally engage Brown Water Rats. Both of these enemies are going to engage us just during engagement checks. But I think I'll just optionally engage nobody. Let's just wait around. Okay, during engagement checks, 2 enemies come down, and we'll defend against them. They're easy enemies to deal with. Eastern Crows. Let's use Hinnemarth. Oh, wait, we don't need to anymore because let me shuffle this deck. There won't be any more cards revealed, so I would only use him to know about shadows. It doesn't matter. All right, so Eastern Crows is going to attack for 1. We'll defend for 2 here. No, let's use Warrior of Lothar. 1 attack against 3 defense, and no shadow effect. So easily dealt with. 2 defense against 1 attack from Brown Water Rats, and no damage. Now Brown Water Rats is really unique. He cannot be damaged, including this one here. If the players are on stage 3 and all remaining enemies have the printed rat trait, discard Brown Water Rats from play. Okay, so we just need to attack back and easily destroy this Eastern Crows. When it is defeated, shuffle it back into the encountered deck. And I can't attack and damage Brown Water Rats. Okay, at the if Goblin Sniper is in the staging area at the end of the combat phase, each player deals 1 point of damage to 1 character he controls. We'll put it on Lewin. I may have forgotten about that force effect last round. It seems like maybe I did, but I've got tons of hit points in the Outlands card, so I'm not worried about it. It's not going to invalidate the play if I did forget, but forgive me if I did. So I can't attack back, can't do anything about Goblin Sniper. Refresh, and next round. Let's draw 2 cards. And I don't have to worry about Strider's Path or Ranger Spikes anymore. Let's go ahead and put out this Hunter of Lamadon. Yeah, there's not much to do. We're just going to quest just to keep our threat from going up. We're not worried about even exploring anything. So just sending Glorfindel's enough. We'll just play Elrond's Council and lower our threat. Can't boost Glorfindel with that. Don't reveal anything during staging. So we just go straight to quest resolution, and we made 1 progress. During the encounter phase, we cannot optionally engage Goblin Sniper because there's another enemy in the staging area. We'll just optionally engage Brown Water Rats, and during engagement checks, he does not come down, so we'll just deal with him next round. All right, so two enemies to defend against. Let's just use Warrior of Lothar. So 1 attack against 3 defense, and we'll use Forlong. 1 attack against 3 defense, and we can't attack back and destroy either one of these because they are indestructible. They can't be damaged. They're just pestering us. And at the end of the combat phase, we do have to deal damage somewhere. We'll just put it on Glorfindel. All right, refresh. Next round, we'll win it here. We'll draw us 2 cards. And we could just win it by putting Gandalf into play and destroying Goblin Sniper, so let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When Gandalf enters play, we'll deal 4 damage to an enemy in play. That means Goblin Sniper has been destroyed. He leaves play. And Brown Water Rat says force. If the players are on stage 3, which we are, and all remaining enemies have the printed rat trait, discard Brown Water Rats from play. Both copies are discarded, and it says once there are no enemies in play, the players have won the game. So that's it. And we won that in 9 rounds. Sometimes it'll take me a few more rounds, but as you can see, you kind of build up this wall, this indestructible wall with all these Outlands characters. And we didn't really, I don't think we saw a lot of sneak attack. That was kind of different about this playthrough. Yeah, all 3 sneak attacks were still in my deck. Usually sneak attack, Gandalf kind of helps a little bit here and there, and we never had the option to really lower our threat using Gandalf or use his response much, but it worked out for us. We didn't see Strider's Path, but we talked about that, how it's really great for Gladden marshlands. Let me see, in the deck here, was there anything we missed? This guy, Marshland Outlaws, can be a little bit annoying. So great for Ranger Spikes. The thing is, you just can't really, I mean, I guess you eventually with Hinnemarth Riversong, you could, well, have 1 copy of him, you could know what's coming because you use him after the staging step, after combat. You just get to know who's coming. And so, he'd be a great target for Ranger Spikes, but usually you don't really know what's going to come out that gets Ranger Spikes. Now, if you have Ranger Spikes out, it cannot be attached to a Hill Troll. It cannot be attached to Anduin Troll Spawn because based on this card here, all troll enemies cannot have attachments. But things can overwhelm you quickly. Gladden Marshlands is the worst card in the deck. A Flooded Ford's not so good either. This one brings really usually Hill Troll back from the victory display. It's kind of annoying. You can't cancel it. Anyway, that's it. That's the quest, and not the most difficult, but I do think you could make the argument that an Outlands deck was appropriate for this, but my promise to you is not to continue to just spam Outlands allies the rest of the channel. Well, the next one is going to be a real tough one. Escape from Dol Guldur Nightmare. And I think our player card pool has grown enough. I'm going to really do my best to try to build a adequate deck to deal with that. Whereas I felt like it wasn't worth my while with the core set, this will be a fun challenge. So looking forward to that, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.